Thank you for tuning in to Macroview Television, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. As a member of the Asia-Pacific community, Taiwan has a responsibility in maintaining regional peace and security. On today's program, we're delighted to have a special guest who is well-versed in Taiwan's relationships with member countries in ASEAN. We want to welcome the Deputy Director General of the Department of East Asian and Pacific Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Frances Li, to our program. Welcome to our program, Ms. Li.
Thank you, Dr. Wu, for your kind introduction. I'm very honored and it's my pleasure to be invited to the Taiwan Outlook.
Well, the pleasure is ours to have you on the program as a special guest. We're going to start off with something very recent that took place in Indonesia, in Jakarta, about the two terrorist bombing attacks.
Yes.
Given the fact, the severity and the magnitude of the terrorist bombing attacks, that means terrorism is still a very serious regional security threat. How do you interpret those two bombs attacks in Jakarta?
Well, to start off, I would like to express our sympathy to the victim of those tragic bombings on July 17 this year.
Yes.
And also, we would like to express our condolence to the family members, to the people and the government of Indonesia. And secondly, I would like to condemn those senseless act of violence, which caused the deaths, the innocent lives, and also injured so many people. And it's my understanding, as of now, the death toll reached 9 people and about 50 plus people injured.
Yes.
So, we don't agree for those people. If they are dissatisfied what they are with, they should use more democratic way to express their view.
More peaceful ways too.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we still have confidence in Indonesia government to bring those perpetrator, organizer, financier or sponsors to justice. I think the best way for us is to wait for the result made by Indonesia government.
Yes. Well, given the fact that there is a likelihood, although, as you said, the investigation is ongoing, we don't know the results maybe for some time yet.
Yes.
But given the fact that there is a possibility that these bombs attacks 2 weeks ago may be masterminded by the same people who were responsible for terrorist attacks a few years back, also in Indonesia and Thailand. Given the fact that these terrorist activities are still very much visible, very much a fact of life. Do you think that the anti-terrorist tactics by countries like Indonesia are not working, are not successful? If so, what's missing? What needs to be done more to compensate for what's inadequate at this point?
I've been served in Malaysia for quite some years,
Yes.
and according to my observation and understanding, I would say the terror groups, can be classified into 3 categories.
Please.
The first one is, separatist insurgencies, and the second one is, for those anti-armed, anti-government political opposition groups.
Okay.
And the third one is the radical Muslim groups who want to overthrow their governments by force. And of course, there's a special feature for those terror groups. They tend to be transnational in nature.
Yes.
So, and they set up some links among themselves. And as for Indonesia's government, we know, to completely eradicate the terrorist activities, actually a long-term goal.
Of course.
It's involved culture, it's involved religions, many factors involved. And I think Indonesia government, according to my understanding, it is committed to nurture the very legal and the law enforcement environment, which is conducive to counter those terrorist acts. And I believe Indonesia government also resolved, to enhance their capability, to boost their ability,
yes.
to combat terrorists. And also, they are conducting some kind of institutional reform. Also, try to advance their capacity to, to be against those terrorist acts. So, we understand this needs some bilateral and multilateral cooperation among the governments in Southeast Asia region. And the Indonesia government actually is taking the role, to some extent, the leading role to to enhance the cooperation bilaterally and multilaterally, such as we say intelligence exchanges, some information sharing,
yes.
Set up a wider focal point, something like that. And I think Indonesia try very hard to to advance the improvement. And of course, we know the democratization process of Indonesia has been going on for quite some time,
years, yes.
Since maybe late 90s. And Indonesia government still very keen try to instill the culture of peace, the culture of tolerance, and to enhance mutual understanding. The whole process still going on. So from our comprehensive understanding, I think Indonesia government still make every efforts to counter the terror threat. Again, we understand to eradicate completely the terror acts is not a short-term or mid-term goal. It's take a longer term, because if you want to, integrate those people actually who are insatisfied or dissatisfied the situation they are in, of course, it's gonna take some years, including all kinds of institutional assistance, such as education, or something like that.
We also know that when the bombing attacks took place, I think at least regionally, a lot of people were shocked. And also the fact that the bombing attacks took place in two of the leading 5-star or 6-star hotels in Jakarta. These hotels are already equipped with state-of-the-art security and surveillance techniques, and also with the security personnel on site. And these bombing attacks still took place. That certainly was a sign of caution for a lot of people, especially for Indonesians, national security people as well as law enforcement people. But also this shockwave was all over, not just regionally, but also on the international stage. We understand that the United States, for example, under former President George W. Bush, the war on terror was a very important policy objective. Although, President Obama may have a different set of foreign policy objectives, but I would suppose the war on terror is still very, very important. So far, since the bombing attacks took place, how has the United States responded, to these continuing terrorist attack in Southeast Asia, and this time particular in Jakarta?
I would say, to combat the war on terror, continued vigilance is still needed.
Of course.
And I believe if you talk about the legal or law enforcement environment, there's much room, need to be improved. So we understand this situation, and I think the United States also understands the situation. War on terror, actually, in the region of Southeast Asia, we can call this is a second front for the United States, because their main focus actually is in Iraq, Afghanistan, or sometimes even Iran. If you study carefully, then you will know. If you do some research about those terror groups' background, then you will notice those terror groups in Southeast Asia tends to be homegrown or locally grown, although they have some international linkage. However, basically they are from the region.
Of course.
And United States, I think they understand the situation in Southeast Asia region, and I think the commitment is still there.
Yes. And
from the efforts, they try coordinate with other regional powers such as Australia. We know they set up some institute.
Yes, to try to combat regional terrorism.
Yes, aiming at counterterrorism. And the three institutes I would like to emphasize. The first one is
before we go into that, though, Ms. Li, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to the Taiwan Outlook, and we'll continue this conversation. We'll talk about the little, measures that we can do closer to home to protect the citizens and the, travelers from Taiwan. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 2 minutes.